Hi everybody, Game Cooker US Rocks VR here. How y'all doing today? Um, it's Friday, and today is kind of a short day for me, so I'm just trying to get something squeezed in here to talk about. Um, so, I've been hearing lately about, NVIDIA not caring about, you know, gamers and people complaining about prices and price to performance, and still got these age-old arguments going on. And why is NVIDIA bringing out Super, you know, and all this other stuff? So I just kind of wanted to look at some things here, just, for the sake of looking back and talking a little bit. Um, some of the reasons why NVIDIA might do what they're doing, or why they're still on top, you know, which, a lot of people in the media, you know, they don't really like talking about certain things like business and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of it all. I'm just going to look at the bare surface. But you know, um, I was watching a video on PC World, so go to PC World and check them out. Um, they're not sponsoring me or anything like that. Trust me, I'm not popular, so nobody's going to sponsor me. Um, but Gordon here was saying some things that I agreed with, and it kind of got me thinking. So again, go to PC World, check out their videos, check out this latest one they did, um, Full Nerd episode 278. I may or may not link it in the description because I put some links in the description in a previous video, and YouTube contacted me and said that they had to remove the link because of, I don't know, there was some kind of spam on a particular link that I put there. And I usually just put the links there because people told me that's what I'm supposed to do, or that I should do that out of respect for the people that I'm talking to. So it's not hard to find PC World. Just go to YouTube and type in PC World, and this is the symbol. So this is how you know it's them, okay? So I may not put the link in, so don't fault me for that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was, there's a lot of sentiment online about NVIDIA pretends to care about gamers, they don't care about gamers. You know what I'm saying? Even though NVIDIA, compared to AMD, has been innovating, um, when it comes to their GPUs, right? Um, so here, PC World has an article here, um, which of course earlier this year, you know, it says here, yes, PC gamers, NVIDIA still cares about you, said CEO Jensen Huang in a roundtable interview with reporters in Taipei. Okay, so this was written in May 30th. After a week, which saw NVIDIA's value increase to $1 trillion on the back of AI data center hardware, followed by a Computex keynote that had bare bones appeal to PC gamers, many were wondering if the company still cared about gaming. Well, see, this is all media opinion, right? When it says here, followed by a Computex keynote that had bare bones appeal to PC gamers. I mean, I get what he's saying there, right? It was lackluster, um, compared to the expectations, I guess. I can agree with that. But whether NVIDIA products appeal to gamers or not, well, that's kind of hard to quantify, because no matter what, I always get excited whenever NVIDIA brings out something new, right? So I don't care if it's like lackluster, or I don't even care if it didn't meet my expectations, You know what I'm saying? I know, for me, I know that they're an innovative company, right? So I want to see what they're going to throw out there on the table. You see? So I'm not only a gamer, but I'm a PC enthusiast, right? So, and as a gamer, like what a gamer is to me is different from somebody else. Like somebody else might be happy playing platformers and side scrollers, or they might be simply happy for settling less and playing consoles. That was just a little jab there. Um, don't take it personally. You know, so for me, at least since I played Half-Life 2 and Unreal Tournament back in the day, just to give you a quick backstory, like I stopped in the 80s. I was playing with the Atari systems and the ColecoVision and Intellivision and Nintendo system. You know, that's what we had in the 80s, right? Most of those were basically side scrollers, 2D games, you know. Um, and then from like 1990 to like 1999, I didn't even touch a computer really. Okay. Um, so when I got back into PC gaming, I was like, well, let me buy a computer and just see what's, you know, how computers are 9 years later, right? So think about this. I'm going from basically the late 80s to the almost 2000. And anybody who's been alive long enough knows that there was a drastic change from what you could do in the 80s versus what you can do by 2000 when it comes to computers and even consoles, right? So the first game I got was Unreal Tournament, right? I did some research, I bought a computer, and I bought a 3DFX card, and I put in Unreal Tournament, and I like saw it, you know, it booted up, and I saw the, you know, the start screen and all that, and I'm like going, oh wow, this looks really, really good, you know, like, you know, because you remember the Unreal Tournament scene in the beginning, right? It's kind of flying through, you know, the map, right? And you're just going, wow, this graphics are pretty nice, you know, and I'm just thinking that's a cutscene movie, right? Because, you know, I used to look at all the Final Fantasy artwork, right, that they used to advertise when they advertised all the time, like on the consoles and everything. Oh, new Final Fantasy game, and the artwork was just beautiful. And I'm like going, wow, is the game gonna look like that? You know, I'm like, of course it didn't. It was like still pixelated people running around on a, you know, on a map, and I was always disappointed because that's what I always wanted graphics to be, you know, in the PC, you know, and I thought we would never get there, you know. I'm like going, oh man, these pixelated graphics, you know. There was some hope, like when Resident Evil came out, you know, for the console. I was like, oh, that looks pretty nice, you know. It was still kind of low quality, obviously, but, you know, I was like saying, oh, we're getting somewhere. But it still wasn't there yet, you know. So when I popped in Unreal Tournament, I thought the beginning was just like a, you know, movie, you know, a pre-rendered movie cutscene. And then when I jumped in the game, I'm like, I did like, you know, the campaign part where you're just fighting the bots, and, you know, you just progress where it gets harder and harder. And like, I'm like going, okay, I'm in this like area that looks like very futuristic. And like, I'm like wondering what to do. So I'm like kind of truckling around, and then all of a sudden, like this thing comes jumping out and like shooting at me. I'm like going, whoa, you know, like what's happening here? Like literally, I was so disconnected, right? Where I just, it totally was like unexpected and blew me away. And I'm like going, whoa, this like thing is running around, shooting at me and jumping at me, and I'm like fumbling to control my gun and everything else, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, whoa, that's a person running around here shooting me. It's chasing me, you know. And I was just like, and then as you progressed on and on and on, more and more bots came in, and it was just like, whoa, like what is happening here? And you go to a different map, and it's like, wow, these maps are cool. The music is cool. It's like, you know, it just like, I just got sucked in, like instantly. And then of course, when you started like downloading maps and playing with people online, and 16 bots on the map, and it's crazy. It just totally like took me away. And then of course I played Half-Life. I mean, do I need to say anything really about that game? I went out and bought a Sound Blaster card, or whatever card was available at that time. I think it was a Sound Blaster though, because it had real-time surround sound. And I just remember being in the elevator, just like turning left and right, because the sound would just like, you know, traverse right wherever the voice was coming from, as adjacent to how I was looking. It changed, right? So I was like, wow, this is like crazy, immersive. So ever since then, that's what it meant to me to be a gamer. Like, I wanted to shoot for the very best experience. And that just did not get reduced to, oh, well, the gameplay's got to be good. Otherwise, it's a piece of junk. The gameplay's got to be perfect. Well, while I can't argue that we all want gameplay to be very fun, I can't play a game anymore. And this is not me being proud or arrogant or anything. It's just, that's just Half-Life 2 and Unreal Tournament spoiled me. Right? That's how I woke up from my coma. Right? It's like going from the 1940s, where you only had radios still, and you wake up and you have a cell phone, where you're doing everything on your cell phone. You can play games, you can talk, you can do all your spreadsheets, you can, you know what I'm saying? Do video conferencing and take pictures and take video. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's kind of the experience I had going from the simple gameplay from the 80s, which of course back then it was complex, right? To waking up and playing Unreal Tournament and Half-Life, at the highest quality settings at the time that you could, muster up with the 3DFX card. So it was just amazing. So that's what it means to be a gamer for me. I want the best graphics, right? I want the best real looking environments, Now I know that that's very hard to achieve, but I'm okay with technology. I'm okay with, I'm fine with DLSS. I'm fine with ray tracing and ray reconstruction. I'm fine with NVIDIA Shadow Play, even though, they've kind of lacked on that lately. It's not as, I wish they worked on it more, to make it even more robust. I mean, there's just so many. There's a lot of technologies right at your fingertips if you have an NVIDIA card, right? So you have NVIDIA Broadcast. I mean, there's just so many things, right, to mention. You go on the NVIDIA website and check out all the tools that you can use for free, at your disposal. And see, and this is where NVIDIA really shines. It's not, everybody keeps saying with, oh, rasterization, it's all that matters, it's all that matters. Well, yeah, that's what they were saying, when RTX came out for the first time. But now, fast forward 4 years later, right? 5 years later, oh, all of a sudden, AMD fans are talking about how good AMD does their ray tracing compared to when they had none, and how good FSR is compared to when they had none. All of a sudden, all that's important, right? NVIDIA has Reflex. AMD comes out with their version of Reflex. It's like, if these things didn't matter to gamers, right, then AMD wouldn't bother to even work on them. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't have value, then they wouldn't even put them in their cards. So, and you know, AMD is still inferior in most of the comparative technologies that they have with NVIDIA, right? Because NVIDIA just, you know, they just you know, they started running from the starting point and never look back, right? And they just keep adding, making things better. You know what I'm saying? So you can complain all you want about the features that NVIDIA has, but if they didn't have value to people, then NVIDIA would not be doing as well as they're doing now, right? You can't simply just say that, oh, NVIDIA has 80% of the market share, or 75, whatever it is, you know, at the time of speaking, and say that, well, 75% of gamers are just stupid, right? They don't know how to game. They're not real gamers because they buy NVIDIA, right? It's just kind of silly to make that statement, you know what I'm saying? Because the market speaks volumes, right? You know, you can have your own personal opinion, or you can be stubborn, right? Because some people just, for some reason, they just reject NVIDIA no matter what they do, right? If NVIDIA does it, they reject it. That's kind of like being political, right? If you know, like the left, if anybody in any other political spectrum does anything, well, they can't accept that, right? They just put their blinders on and say, we're right about everything, and that's it. There's no arguments, no discussion, right? So this is how people have an outlook on NVIDIA. And again, I'm not defending NVIDIA as like a corporation. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the product, okay? No corporation, whether it's NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, you know, Apple, these guys don't care about you, the individual. Don't think that they do. It's a corporation. It's a machine that spits out product. Okay? It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have feelings. It just knows that it has to spit out product and make money. You see? Now, this statement here, to move on, this is after they made that announcement that they were breaking that they broke the $1 trillion, or were about to break the $1 trillion mark as far as company worth. Okay, now that was in this article was released in May. Now, if you go back to February. Now this is I'm just bringing this up right here because you have to understand that just because a corporation is doing very well today may not mean that they're doing well next year. Right? A corporation is like, again, a machine that spits out product, right? And if nobody's buying the product, the machine can't work. Right? Because the employees got to get paid, the electric bills got to get paid, upkeep has to keep happening, repairs have to be done, equipment has to be bought. You see what I'm saying? So and on, a million different things that cost money in a corporation, right? Especially one that's worldwide, for sure, right? So right here in February, if you look at if these numbers are correct, which I'm assuming they are, I mean, I don't see why they would post them on their own site and they'd be inaccurate. But here it says in February, before this $1 trillion news came, it says quarterly revenue of $6 billion was down 21% from a year ago. Think about that. 21%. Now imagine you make $1,000 a week, okay? That's probably a lot than most people make today with the inflation, but whatever. Let's say that you made $1,000 a week, and then all of a sudden, your employer says, well, we got to cut wages by 21%. I mean, you would be like, huh? What? No, that can't happen. I won't be able to survive. Right? That's over $200 per week you're going to lose. Right? That's $800 a month. Right? So I'm just trying to show you what 21% means. Right? Now imagine a corporation that makes billions of dollars, right? Quarterly revenue was $6 billion, which to us is a big number, but remember that's revenue. That's not profit. Okay? But the lower the revenue, the lower the profit. Like the profit goes down exponentially as the revenue reduces. Right? So it's not like if you lose 1 billion in revenue, you only lose $1 billion in profit. The profit is much more of a loss, right? So, I mean, usually it can obviously it can fluctuate depending on how you do your business, but it's not. So, if that was a 21% loss, now I'm not good at math, but that's a 21%. It's quite a lot. I mean, they've lost probably almost $2 billion, or whatever that comes out to be, right? So, and then here it says fiscal year revenue, which was 20 billion, right? Which is from whenever their first quarter is to whenever their fourth quarter is. They made 27 billion. Now I don't know what flat from a year ago means. Does that mean that that they made the same? I'm not sure what that means. And then here it says quarterly and annual return to shareholders of 1.15 billion and 10.44 billion. Okay? So out of this 6 billion, I'm guessing 1.15 is going to go to the shareholders, or that's what the shareholders made. And then out of the 27 billion, 10 billion go to the shareholders. Okay? So again, revenue doesn't mean profit. Okay? So so here it says yeah, so I mean that's you can't go by with a corporation, they got to keep making money to stay afloat. Right? They have to have, because it's a machine that just needs to keep going. It can't stop, in other words. Right? It would be like you just all of a sudden stopped eating. Right? Well, how long are you going to last if you stop eating? You know what I'm saying? You might live maybe a couple weeks if you have that much reserve on your body, If you're kind of a heavy set person, you may last a couple weeks just drinking water. But eventually you're going to die, right? If you don't feed yourself, right? Or let's say you don't produce anything to make money, you don't work, you don't do anything, right? Then eventually you're not going to be able to buy food, and then you're going to starve eventually. It's like it's like your body. Your body has to keep consuming to produce, and you have to keep producing to consume. You see? to get what you need to keep going. So a corporation's the same way. It has to keep making money, right? Money just doesn't fall off of trees and out of the sky. You know, everybody thinks that like corporations are like these entities that just can go on and on and on and never die. Well, you know, with I do admit that today, with the amount of money that corporations can make or are making, that they can last quite a long time. But nonetheless, if they just stop doing what they're doing, then they're going to go bankrupt. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay? So, despite how much complaints we have about these companies, they are producing a product that we want. Okay? At least that much we could say we're thankful for. Because there's a lot of corporations out there, and I won't mention, that are doing things that we don't care about, that are wasting money, that are producing things that gamers don't care about, and they become flops. See, that's a waste of money. That's giving a product that nobody wants. You know, Disney, for one, they're producing crap movies. You know, certain gaming companies are putting out games that nobody wants. You know what I'm saying? So that's a waste. You know, at least NVIDIA and AMD, you know, they're producing products that, whether we agree with the pricing or not, they're still producing products that we want. You see, that we hope they keep bringing us, right? We want them to keep getting better, and you know, all that stuff. So, you know, even though we don't get 100% what we want from them, we're getting something that we want. Okay? So, yeah. So I mean, so you know, you have to look at things from a business standpoint. Again, I'm not defending NVIDIA here. I'm just bringing up a point. Okay? Stop complaining just to complain. Like, stop complaining because things don't go your way. Stop complaining because things aren't as cheap as you want them to be. I mean, why aren't you complaining about cars? I mean, we had to buy a car recently, and man, we were just pulling our hair out because we couldn't believe the prices. You know, we had to buy a car that was, you know, already 3 years old, and still paid $25,000 for it. You know what I'm saying? And that was a good deal. We happened to find one that was that cheap. You know what I'm saying? So, in fact, it was like, I guess it would be considered 4 years old, but whatever. But, you know, we were looking at the new cars, and like the cheapest cars, they were like 35,000, 40,000, 45,000 for like nothing. Dinky little cars. It's like, how is that worth $45,000? Well, you know, I could go into like over-regulation and all that stuff and the whole carbon CO2 is bad thing, but whatever. It's just politics, right? They are, when you have bad policies, prices go up. When you have bad policies, inflation goes up, right? Politicians do play a big role. But, you know, why aren't we complaining about that stuff, you know? And that's taking way more money than a graphics card, right? For a car, you're going to be paying like $300 or $400 a month for 6 years. That's a lot of money. But yet you'll complain about a card that's $600, right? If you spread that $600 over 6 years, you know what I'm saying? 60 months, if you were just taking 10 months out of each year, I mean, how much is that? Right? It's not much. You know? What's it, $10 a month? That's like 33 cents a day. Well, it's actually less because I only said 10 months a year. But, you know, it's like, think about what you're complaining about, you know? Like, think a broader picture, you know, when you're thinking about things. Like there's more to the story than just what's right in front of your tunnel vision, you know. Um, anyway, so excuse me. So there's another article I saw um, here. Now you may disagree with this article, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, but this is Digital Trends. So you can go to NVIDIA to check out the NVIDIA stuff. Again, I don't know if I'm going to post any links because YouTube really like scared me when they said they were removing stuff from my 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 channel and video. So, you know. So just go to Digital Trends, 5 ways NVIDIA graphics cards still beat AMD, okay? By Monica J. White, all right? Now, I'm not saying that I love Digital Trends or anything. I'm not you know, supporting them or recommending them as your best site to go on. This is one that I just picked out, okay? So Digital Trends, giving them credit for this. So they say the never-ending debate of AMD versus NVIDIA has never been more of a close call than it is right now. Now, when was this written? This was written this October, recent, which surprised me. It's all about choosing what's important to you and weighing it against what else is on the table. That's true. Regardless of personal preference, there are a few things that NVIDIA still does better, and that's despite the fact that AMD has caught up in a lot in recent years, and that's true. Here are some of the reasons why NVIDIA still maintains a commanding lead over AMD in many ways. Now again, you can disagree with this. Number one, they say NVIDIA has the best graphics card on the planet, the 4090. That's true. AMD's got nothing to match it. And the 79 XTX is not close. Stop believing the lies. Yeah, in 1 or 2 games, for some reason it gets close or beats it. Obviously, a driver issue or game optimization thing, you know, that leans towards AMD for whatever reason. But for the most part, RTX 4090 handily beats every graphics card out there, okay? So, and you can read this whole article to get all the nuance of what they're arguing. So here it says 4K average, right? Including ray tracing, okay? This includes ray tracing. Now, I don't know what their game list is. They didn't really mention it. But it's obviously games that support ray tracing, right? So, and by the results here, it doesn't look like they're being biased, right? In ray tracing, the 4090 just kills everything else. Right, even here they got the 3090 that not beating the 6950 XT in ray tracing. That's pretty interesting. Right, you would think that the 3090 would still beat the 6950 XT, but apparently in the games that they tested, it did not. It beat out the 3090. So they're not being biased here, obviously. Otherwise, they would have picked games that the 3090 just obviously beat the 6950 XT, right? So, you know, NVIDIA handily wins in ray tracing. I mean, you could say, well, the 4080 and 79 XTX are close. That's true. But, you know, then again, you got DLSS, which that'll be coming later. Okay. Now, Cyberpunk, you know, Ultra RT at 4K. Like the 4070 here, they're just highlighting something here. That if you use a 4070 and put on DLSS 3, it gets up to 73 frames per second. Right? So it beats out all these in regular ray tracing. Okay? So they're just, again, making a point here. Right? That NVIDIA technology is useful, right? Even though some people may see it as not relevant to them, okay? Again, it depends on what kind of a gaming experience you want. Do you want to enjoy the best graphics at the highest frame per second? And it doesn't really matter if it's interlaced frames. That doesn't matter, right? Because we're not dealing with just regular interlaced frames. We're talking about DLSS, right? Deep learning super sampling. So it's reconstructing the frame, right? And then inserting it into the between the other two, or however it works, right? So you're getting a higher quality experience than just, for instance, if let's say a game developer just made their game so that you can like check add interlaced frames. They can do that. Anybody can put that in their game, right? And then, you know, you boost your frame rate just by them doubling, you know, kicking another frame in there, right? So, but those frames will be less quality than, say, the DLSS 3 frame, you see, because it's doing AI upscaling. Now here we're back to, I think, regular. They got Cyberpunk 4K Ultra RT DX12 4090, right? Easily outpacing everything else. Okay, this is Ultra RT in Cyberpunk. So the 4080 doesn't even barely gets to 30. It's probably doing 30, but you know, under a lot. See? And the XT, the 3090, or the XTX 3090 XT and 6950 XT, they don't even make it to 25. So essentially it's unplayable here. Whereas with the 4090 you can actually play it. So, you know, ray tracing matters. DLSS 3 matters, you know. Now here is, sorry for the sniffles, the weather's changing again. So here's an RTX 4060 versus an RX 7600. Now again, you know, you guys may be disagreeing with these results because of the mass marketing campaign online with the tech tubers and stuff saying that, oh, the 76 is a better value than the 4060 and da 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 da. Okay. Again, it depends on what game you're playing, right? And what you're using. So here's ray tracing with the 4060 versus 7600. Now mind you, the 7600 is doing pretty well in some games. Returnal, they're about neck and neck. Cyberpunk 4060 beats out 7600. Metro 4060 beats out 76, not by much. Resident Evil 4, the 4060 beats out the 76 by a lot, you know. So again, it depends on the game, but for the most part, the 4060 will be stronger with ray tracing, you know. And then of course she's going to go into, you can do so much more with NVIDIA cards, right? With machine learning, content creation, streaming, 3D modeling, you know, yada yada yada. You can read the article for that. VR, NVIDIA normally does better. That might be, the gap there might be closing, but traditionally NVIDIA did better, had better VR support. Now she didn't even go over the DLSS really, you know what I'm saying, versus FSR. So DLSS is also a factor with the NVIDIA cards, right? So not just DLSS 3 frame generation, I'm talking about DLSS, right? So DLSS is far superior than FSR in every way, okay? The only time that FSR really looks good is at 4K. You know what I'm saying? Once you start going down to 1440 and 1080, it kind of breaks down on visual quality quite a bit as far as my testing in the many games I did showed. And of course online people have said that too. So, yeah. So, am I NVIDIA shilling? Not really. I'm just speaking facts. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is, you know? Now, let's get to the whole rumor about NVIDIA, the NVIDIA Super cards coming up and all that stuff. So a lot of people, for some reason, every time this happens, people get up in arms. Oh my God, why is NVIDIA bringing out Super, series and TIs and all this other stuff, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like they act like it's something new, like NVIDIA's doing something strange. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you the evolution here, okay? And I'm going to start from the 900 series. Now you can go on NVIDIA and find all this stuff out. It's on there. So just look for the GeForce GTX 900 series. So if you look at the 900 series, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions, okay? And I think they did have like a 940 maybe for laptop or something, but I could be wrong about that. It might have just been a 1040 or whatever they called it, a 730. I don't know, whatever. But that doesn't really matter. And of course they had the Titan. Don't forget about the Titan. All right, so let me type that in, NVIDIA Titan. I don't know if they have it listed in NVIDIA's site here. They used to, but oops. Let's see. Let's go to NVIDIA. Oh boy. Let's look up Titan. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have like a list of all their Titans. Let's see if they do. Let's go here. I don't know if they're gonna have oh, I forgot about the GTX 16 series. Well, anyway, so you can see here, okay, right here they had, Titan X, Titan Black, Titan Z, you know, let's see what else they got listed here. Titan RTX, that's, it's hard to keep track of the Titans. But they had several top tier cards, right? That they also brought out. So let's not forget those. All right, but if you start back here in the 900 series, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the Titan, so 6. Okay. So they had six cards, which kind of reasonable, right? AMD didn't really have a whole lot to compete. Even though people would say, oh yeah, the blah blah blah, the 2090 or 3090 or whatever the thing was. I mean, that's all AMD had was the top card, and it wasn't very power efficient, and it was hot, But as far as their other stuff go, I don't think it was good value. That's just my opinion. The 970 and the 960 were great values at the time, even though, of course, they were skimp. The 960 had 2 versions, a 2 gigabyte and a 4 gigabyte, right? And then the 970 had the 4, but 0.5 gigabytes was used for some kind of cache or something like that, which I don't know why everybody got uptight about that. Then, of course, the 980 Ti was, you know, everybody's go-to card for the best consumer card. You know, if you really wanted to go up, you would get the Titan. And then I think they also had a dual GPU version, possibly, but correct me on that. I don't know if that was the 900 series that they did that. So, you know, 6 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Titan, right? And then, just to show you that this is nothing new, right? Excuse me for the sniffles, really. Where's the 10 series? Oh, I thought I had the 10 series here. Crap. Why don't they have the 10 series listed here? Weird. Sorry, give me a second. It's very strange they don't have that. Huh. Okay, here we go. So then the 10 series came along. Right? And they expanded on things a little bit. So, the 900, right? They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, counting the Titan. And the 10 series, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus a Titan. So that's 8. Right? So they went from 6 to 8. Right? And they also had the, what was that one called? Darn it. Oh, man. They also had a workstation one. For $3,000. Okay? So if you want to kind of count that one, you can, because you could have actually bought that and used it for gaming, even though it wasn't made for that. So you could actually say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They had 9 cards that you could technically buy. You know. Right, so they added a 1050 Ti, a 1070 Ti, right? So they increased their lineup. And then on top of that, okay, they added the 16 GTX 16 series, right? Which is crazy. So, you know, to say that NVIDIA wasn't giving gamers what they want is kind of a false statement. Right? Because again, the 960 had a 2 gigabyte and a 4 gigabyte version. I'm not sure about the 950, if that had a 2 and 4, right? So you can actually add one more card here, right? Same thing with the GTX 1050. It had a 2 gig and a 4 gig, I think, version. The 1060 had a 3 gig and a 6 gig. So again, I'm not even including all those, right? So really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 versions of cards that you could buy during the 10 series run. Okay? And then the RTX series came out, right? Let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see a little better. So here you had the 2060, 2060 Super, 2070, 2070 Super, 2080, 2080 Super, and 2080 Ti. Now, obviously, in the beginning, you just had the 2060, 2070, 2080, and I'm not sure about the Ti if that came out. Yeah, that did come out right away because I bought that. So that was actually out first, right? So and then they brought the Supers out. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus, they still had a Titan RTX. So that's 8. Okay? So that's 8 they had, right? Released for that run. But that's not all. For whatever reason, they brought out the 16 series. Okay, so how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the Titan with the Titan RTX. 8. Okay? But not just 8. They brought out the 16 series. Right? They had the 1630, which I'm not going to count because that's not really a gamer card. I don't know why people keep saying it is. But they had the 1650. The 1650 because they had 2 different versions. They had the 1650 Super. The 1660, the 1660 Super, and the 1660 Ti. That was crazy. Right? So, I mean, think about that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different versions of cards. That is insane. All during the RTX 20 series run. Right? Which again, I don't know why they brought out these. Maybe they had extra Turing chips left over. I'm not sure. It really baffles my mind. But the thing is these weren't from the Pascal, so that's what's kind of interesting. You would think that these were old Pascal chips, right? That they kind of, you know, figured they'll make like lesser variants cards for people to buy, you know. But no, these were Turing chips, and they supported mesh shading. So whereas AMD 5000 series does not support mesh shading, so you can't really play Alan Wake 2 very well on that card. You can with a 1660 and all these 1660s, right? So these are still relevant today. Is this not consumer friendly? I mean, that's a lot of options for people across a wide spectrum of income choices, of price choices, you know what I'm saying? Because I think you could get like the 1660 for like 200. You know, 1660 Super for 250, and I think the 1660 Ti for like 200, 225, something like that. I mean, if it was up and down, obviously. So, yeah. Now the RTX 2060 came in, I think, 6 and 12 gigabyte variants, right? So you can actually add one more to that, right? So it's you know, let's count up again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the RTX, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right? So 16 different GPUs you could buy during that time frame. So then the 3030 series comes along, and same story, same old story. Right? You got the 3050, 3060, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti, 3080, 3080 Ti, 3090, and 3090 Ti. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus you have the... Well, there is no Titan anymore. So you got 9 iterations, but the 3060 came out with a 6 gigabyte, 12 gigabyte, and 8 gigabyte. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They had 11 different options you could have in the 30 series. Right? So there's nothing unusual about any of this. NVIDIA's been doing this since the 10 series, like the real 10 series, right? And really, if you want to go back to the 900 series, right? Because they did have the, like I said, the 2 gigabyte and 4 gigabyte variants of these. Again, I'm not sure about the 950. That might have just been 2 gigs. You know what I mean? So if we look up GTX 950, it looks like it's just 2 gigs. If we go to Tech Power Up, yeah, it just shows the 2 gigabytes. So if you go to 960, I mean, I know there was a 2 and a 4. I don't think there was anything else, as far as I know. Here they're showing a 2 gigabyte version. They should have showed both, but yeah, right here. You have a 4 gigabyte version here. You can't really see probably. All right, so they have the 2 gigabyte version, right? And they also have a 4 gigabyte version. I don't think they made anything bigger than that as far as I'm aware. Yeah, so it's just 2 gigabytes and 4 gigabytes. So, you know, again, 2 different variants. Just like the 1060, right? That was 3 and 6. So, you know, this is nothing new. Nothing new at all. Nothing. So the 40 series already, they kind of kicked it off already, you know? You got the 4060, 4060 Ti, 4070, 4070 Ti, 4080, and 4090. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to start off with, right? We're still looking for that 4050, which I don't think is going to come. You know, unless they decide to cut down the 4060. Right? In fact, I think they're going to try to refresh the 4060 to put 12 gigabytes on there, but that's just, I don't know if they can because of the bus width, you know. So it doesn't surprise me that they want to bring out a 4070 Super, a 4080 Super, and a 4070, whatever they want to call that, 4070 Ti Super, which doesn't really make any sense to me, because to me what I think they should do is, let me put this bigger. What I think they should do is put the 4080 Super here, push this back, then you got a 4070 Ti, but again, there's a big gap between the 4080 and the 4090, right? So there's definitely a space here for something. And there's also a very big gap between a 4070 Ti and a 4080, right? So there's a big gap here too, you know, because the 4070 Ti versus a 4080, there's a huge delta there. Okay, I don't know why it's GPU user benchmark. I don't really like this site. Oh yeah, this is what I want. User benchmark. Yeah, I mean, look at that difference, man. 20% better performance from the 4080. You know, and you don't only have that better performance. You have more VRAM. You know, that much more CUDA cores to do like 3D editing and stuff like that. Because that really gets bumped up, especially when you have the high bandwidth, right? You got the big bus, right? It's I think 256 bits bus on there. You see, so it's a lot better for workstation stuff, versus say the 4070 Ti, which will do it, but this will do it much better. So yeah, 27% is quite a difference, man. You could easily slot something between these two, you know? Whereas if you look at the, say, 4070 Ti between the 4070, wow, is it really? Whoa. Huh, that's crazy. I don't know about that. Let me see. It says here between the 4070 and the 4070 Ti, there's a 26% performance difference. Wow. That's crazy. Remember, this is user benchmark, so it only goes by, whatever data they have to go off of, right? So it could be, the 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 what you would say the margin of error would be, could be 5 to 10%, right? So I'm just guessing there. It could be less, but so let me go find someone else. Maybe they did something different here. So Digital Trends did some testing here, right? So we're back to them again. Thank you, Digital Trends, for your information. Everybody go check out their site. They just seem to have things very clean on their website, so that's great. So if you look at the 4070 versus the 4070 Ti, there's a lot of similarities, right? Now there's a big difference in CUDA cores. It's almost a 2,000 CUDA core difference, right? It's like 1,800. So that's not chump, that's not chump chump change, so to speak. The wattage is different too. So let's see what the benchmarks show here. So they're saying here at 4K in their test suite, whatever they did, full test suite GeoMean, the 4070 and the 4070 Ti, it's a say 9 FPS difference. Okay, between when they average out all the games that they tested. So that's a pretty good difference. Not end of the world difference, but it's still a difference. Whoa. Okay, let's see if we can bring this out here. Nope, I can't make it bigger. All right, let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. All right, so here they're saying like 47 in Red Dead Redemption 2, and this is at 4K, mind you. I mean, the 4070 is 64 and the 4070 Ti is 74. So that's again a 10 frames per second difference. That's quite a pretty good difference. Assassin's Creed Valhalla 4K, it's like a 7 frames per second difference. Horizon Zero Dawn 4K, that is like a 12 frames per second difference. Cyberpunk 2077, that one's a little closer, so that's not as big of a difference. For Forza Horizon 5 4K, Um, Now it's higher frame rate for the 4070, but it's also higher for the 4070 Ti. So that's like about a 10 frames difference there as well. You know, blah blah blah. So we get the point there. So you know it is a pretty decent difference. Now 1440, their average is the difference is much higher according to their games here. So the 4070 got an average of, say, I'll just round it up to make it easier, 93, okay, frames per second, and the 4070 was at 110, right? So that's an 18 frames per second difference, you know, 19 frames per second. So, well, 18 frames, 17 frames, whatever, 17 frames per second difference. So that's quite a lot, you know, that's a big jump. So again, if you look at one game here, the 4070, like Assassin's Creed at 1440, the 4070 does 112, and the 4070 Ti does 129. Okay, so that's again quite a big gap there. Okay, and you can look at the results here on Digital Trends when they tested these two. So you know there is a pretty good difference between the two. I just was surprised that it was that much. Right, so obviously NVIDIA has room to slot a card here. Well, here, technically, because the 4090 is not even the full die. So you could actually, they can actually make a 4090 Ti and sell that for $2 grand. Right? They can make a 4080 Super. They can make a 40. I don't know what they would call this, a 4070 Ti Super. They can make a 4070 Super, right? So let's see what the difference between a 4060 Ti versus a 4070. Wow, that is crazy. Let me make it bigger for you guys. A 31% difference between the 4070 and the 4060 Ti. Now, even if that said 20% difference, like again, it's hard for me to believe it's 31% because it just seems so crazy, right? Because really, this was a $500 card originally, and this was a $600 card. So you only have $100 difference, right? So to say that it's 31% more performance for only $100 more, you know, it's like your brain goes crazy thinking about that, right? Now here they're showing the new prices apparently. Apparently you can get a 4060 Ti for $389 now and a 4070 for $550. But we're not going to get into the prices right now. That's not what I'm going over. So technically, you can fit something in here. You can make a 4060 Super. Right? And really, you can just look at the CUDA core count. Right? The CUDA cores, right? Yep, the 4090 has 16,300 CUDA cores, and I think the full die is like 18,000. So that's quite a difference. From the 4080 to this is like ridiculous. I mean, that is pretty insane. That's like 6,500 CUDA core difference. That's the biggest delta between all of them. Now the 4070 Ti and the 4080, even though it has a smaller gap when it comes to CUDA cores, the performance is like just amazingly different. Like the what people don't understand is Ada Lovelace scales very well. Lovelace, right? Is it Ada Lovelace? Or am I... did I get that right or wrong? Um... Sorry if I got that wrong. If I'm... Yeah, right. Right, Ada Lovelace. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so if you want to just go by the CUDA core here, I mean, I just wanted to look up what the performance difference is, because, you know, the CUDA's, what does that mean, you know? But Ada Lovelace scales very well. You know, everybody complains about it, but it's very efficient, you know, compared to the scaling. Like, when you're looking at the scaling, right? Because remember, the 4060 and 4060 Ti are only on a 128-bit bus. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Right? 128-bit bus. And they're still performing quite well. Same thing with these two. They're only on 192 bits and they're performing very well. Right? And when you start putting up these bigger buses here, I mean, NVIDIA's killing it, you know? So, yeah, so between the 4060 Ti and 4070, you could technically squeeze something in here. Even though, you know, the CUDA core difference here is different. But, you know, imagine if you had a GPU that had, like, say, what's the difference between this and this? 1500? I don't know. Like, imagine putting a GPU here that has like 5,000, you know, CUDA cores. 5,000 CUDA cores on a 192-bit bus. That would slot in really nicely between these two. Right? And from the 4060 to Ti, there isn't as much of a move. It's 1,300 CUDA cores. So it's, I don't know if you could slot something in there that would really make a difference. If anything, I think they would go ahead and try to put 12 gigabytes on here, because you could technically put 4 gigabyte chips on there, 4 gigabyte chips. They're, you know, I guess it'd be too expensive maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the price is, right? So, you know, so the only other place that you could go here is a 4050. So what you could do is like a 4050 Super, right? By cutting this die down. Maybe you can put like 2,000 CUDA cores on a 128-bit bus and call it a 4050 Super, right? Because I don't know what the 4050 has. Let's see what the RTX 4050 has. I know it has a 92-bit bus, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty stupid. Yeah. AD107. So the 4060 has, let's see. Oh, that is AD107. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, so that's pretty nuts, really. Wow. So the 4050 is really already a cut down AD107. Huh. Yeah, so that's kind of weird. Now, I don't know if this is speculatory or not, because they didn't really officially launch a 4050 except for on the laptop. So maybe that's what I should type in. 4050 laptop. Oh, they actually have it here. Do they actually have it here? Okay. Alright, so this is their laptop lineup, right? So the 4050 laptop has 2,560 CUDA cores. Six gigabytes of RAM, VRAM on a 96-bit bus. So this probably is running at its full performance. Like as far as like it's not like being dumbed down per se, right? Except for, you know, the limitation of the wattage on the laptop. Like this isn't going to be like a Max-Q 4050. It's going to be a full die, full, you know, full powered 4050, with the exception of the wattage will be limited because it's in a laptop format. So if you brought this to desktop, let's see, what is the 4060? Does it say? So the 4060, oops, sorry. The 4060, is it going to give the wattage here? All right, so the total graphics power is only 115 watts for the 4060. So that's pretty crazy. And the average gaming wattage usage is only 110. So actually, technically, this laptop 4050 it can run at its full potential in a laptop, and so can the 4060 laptop. They can both run at their full potential in a laptop. So technically, if you wanted to buy a new computer and you could only afford, say, a 4060 or 4050 tier PC, then I would look for a gaming laptop that runs at the full wattage, right? And you probably would get a better deal doing that than building one, right? That's just my opinion. You know, some people may argue against that. And it will be portable, right? And you can hook it up to a monitor. So you can either take it with you at the dinner table, play in your living room, whatever. Play in your bed in your bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Or you can sit it down at your desk and hook it up to a monitor. And it would still be just as powerful as a PC, right? But anyway, I'm getting off track here. So, yeah. So, I mean, technically they could make a 4050 Super. Even though these two laptop versions, the CUDA cores, are the same. Now, what is the CUDA core count of the 4060 again? Okay, so it's 3072. So again, it's the same as the laptop version. Right? So the 4060 and 4050, as I just stated already, are basically the same as the desktop variants. So that's quite interesting. So if you bought a laptop with either one of these, you're getting the full desktop variant. It just may be cut down depending on the wattage. So I would get a laptop that runs the GPU at the full 115 if I was going to buy either one of these. Okay. So yeah, so they definitely have room for a Super, a 4050 Super on a 128-bit bus. So that would be like a cut down 4060. You see? Maybe 2000 CUDA cores running at 128 bits. And maybe has 8 gigabytes. You see? So, yeah, so I don't think that NVIDIA is going to stop. Okay? They're not going to stop. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. And they can make 7, 8, 9, 10. They can have 10 and a 4090 Ti, so 11. They technically could end up with 11 different GPU variants this year. So again, nothing new, right? Nothing new. Here's the 10 series, not counting the Titan, right? And here's the crazy, again, crazy RTX 20. Oop, it won't let me. Like, this is the crazy error during the RTX 20 series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the Titan. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And that doesn't count the, the other sub-variants that they made. So that's pretty nuts. So it's not unusual for us to end up with 11 different variants of 40 series cards. NVIDIA is doing nothing different. So is that good or bad for consumers? They're giving you more choices. Why is that a bad thing? Is it really worth complaining about? It gives you more choices. Now, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm just going to add this in, because I'm going to check out these 4060 and 4050 laptops, because I didn't realize that they were the full die. Well, I can just go to like Micro Center. Let me just go to my favorite sites here. Let's go to Micro Center. Let's type in. Now again, you might get better deals with like a higher version, but so let's see here. Let's do lowest price, which may not work out for us. Now they do have different versions of this also, it seems. Now this is Micro Center. You got to go to the store to buy these. But like right now they have a 2054 gigabyte GDDR6 for $500. Now that's not something that I would say normally I would tell you to get, because it's like kind of on the weak side, and then they only give you 8 gigabytes of DDR4, which is not really great. But if you really wanted to go, like, if you didn't really have any more money to spend than $500, this is gonna be better probably than a AMD APU. You know what I'm saying? Now the 12450 is kind of weak too. So this isn't going to be like a great gaming laptop by no means. It will probably just get your foot in the door to do gaming on your laptop. So I don't know how many cores this 12450 is. Probably isn't much. What? Okay. So the 12450 is 8 cores with a boost clock of 4.4. That is crazy. Probably doesn't have hyper-threading. But that's not bad. It has 8-core CPU, you know, which boosts up to 4.4. That's not bad at all. Like I said, the only thing that's lacking is this memory. You need 16 gigs, like for sure. But this is a great just entry computer, like if you wanted to get your kid one, you know. Again, I didn't look at them all. They seem to have other ones here for cheap. But again, we just want the one with the graphics card, right? I would have really liked 6 gigs here. So they obviously have 2 variants, a 6 gig and a 4 gig, I guess. But you know, for 500 bucks, that's not a bad little entry thing. It has one review. It says here, wanted something to hold me over until I built my PC. Runs most multiplayer shooters well enough. So I'm imagining he's talking about Call of Duty and stuff like that. So yeah, if you just want some esports, this would be probably a nice little laptop. But let's try to find something a little more robust. So let's pick, see if they allow us to pick which one here. So we want to do new. We don't want open box. New, we probably want to stick between, like, say 400, 500. Maybe let's see if we can get something in this price range. Let's do 4 stars and up. So we have a 3050 6 gig. That's interesting. That's actually not, that's rare. Usually they're 4 gigs. So here's a RTX 3050 6 gig, which is not bad at all, actually. I don't know how they did that. Why can't I click this? What else we got here? Here's another one, but that's more expensive. Here you go. Here's a 4050 6 gig for $699. So you have a 3050 6 gig. It's still only got 8 gigs of RAM. That's very bad. But let's just see what the reviews say here. Let's do most recent. I found this laptop on sale for $600 and gotta say it's a great laptop. 13th Gen i5 and 3050 is pretty solid, pairing with a 144Hz display. Very nice laptop, looks clean, keyboard feels great. Of course, the 8 gigabytes is not enough for most games, so you can just add 8 gigabytes in there, not a problem. You know, you can get 8 gigabytes for, like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks probably. That's not really that much. But if you're going to spend an extra 30, 40, 50 bucks to add more RAM, right? Now you're up to $600. You might as well look at this 4050 6 gig here with a 12500. Okay? That's 700 bucks. Right? Without tax, of course. So, let's see what that's got. So it's got 16 gigs of RAM, 4050 with 6 gigs, a 12500, which I think is a 6 core. Okay, so it's probably an E-core, P-core, right? That's what I'm guessing. So it has a 4.5 gigahertz boost clock, 16 gigs of DDR4 3200, which is good. 4056 gig, which is good. Now it doesn't say E cores or P cores. It just says 12 cores. So I'm imagining that's probably 6 P cores, 6 E cores. Let me look that up. Or it could be 4 P cores, 8 E cores. Okay, so it's what I said, the latter. So it's four performance cores, 8 E cores. Okay. So it's got 12 cores. So it's 4 P cores. Okay. So it's a 4 core, basically, with the E cores. But let's see what there's only one review, unfortunately, and nobody said anything about it, so it's unfortunate. But obviously, if the people like the 3050 6 gig, they're gonna like this one. Although it may perform worse. Let's look at it. RTX 3050 6 gigabyte versus 4050 6 gigabyte. It may be worse. Maybe the 3050 performs better. Okay, well. Although I didn't say laptop. Maybe I should be specific. Yeah, I don't like this site. It doesn't really give you information very, like, everything should just be stand out to you. It's like I got to look at all these numbers. Like, just give me percentages. I mean, you can give these, the numbers are fine, but you know what I'm saying? But overall percentage is what I want to see, right? So they give the 4050 higher points, 50 points for the 3050 laptop, 56 for the 4050. So technically they're saying the 4050 is better slightly, right? But when comparing the 4050 laptop with the 3050 desktop, the 4050 says here is 29% faster. That's kind of hard to believe, but whatever. So, you know, for 700 bucks, you could probably find like a 3060. So let's try that. Let's move up to 750 to 1000. And see what we got. So here we got a 3060, as I said before. It's probably going to be, some of those are going to pop up. 3060 here. So here we got a 4060 8 gigabyte for $899. So okay, so we have a 3060 6 gigabyte with 16 gigs of DDR5 with a 12700H. So that's good. 12700 is a good chip. That probably has well, it says 14 cores, but that's not telling us. Where's the specs? I just want the specs, man. $309 reviews, and it's got a 4.3 score. So I'm guessing this is going to be either a 6 or 8 core processor with E cores. So the reviews, so this is a 3060. And this is a 3060, same processor. And then, so that's what, $799, $800 for this one, $870 for this one, and $900 for this one. So this has got a 12650H. Let's see what that one is. That's probably 6-core, obviously, I would imagine. It doesn't tell you, like, it just says 10 cores. So maybe that's only a 4-core too. Huh. That only 4 cores? No, that one's backwards. That's got 6 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. So that's really weird. So I guess that's what the 50 means. The 50, whenever you have the 50 variants, it's going to be the reverse. All right, so 6 cores, that's good, and that's got hyper-threading, I'm sure. So that's not bad. So, you know, that's not terrible. You got a 4060 with 8 gigs. You got 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM. Whoa, what happened there? So that's a pretty good deal for 900. Let's see what the reviews say. Let's do most recent. It burns a little hot, but it's a gaming laptop, so can't expect much about that. It was a good deal and runs most newer games on high ultra, sometimes without even needing DLSS, so that's good. Bought this after having a really good experience with my other MSI I bought it 6 years ago. They got this for $9.99 on Labor Day, so they got it for $100 more. At the time, it was by far the best combination of mid-range processor with a 4060. So far, I've been using it for basic office work to run to run Starfield. Let's see. As for Starfield, it can only run it at medium settings between 40 to 50 FPS, but they are getting DLSS soon, so. But that is enough to enjoy the beauty of the game and in all of its glory. I don't know about beautiful. Starfield's not that beautiful. The laptop does run hot. They said the video card goes up to 99 degrees. Wow, that's kind of high. They need to change their fan curve or something. But the card usually runs about 74 on average with Starfield. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. I purchased this MSI laptop a few months ago and owned one previously. They're reliable, powerful, and dependable, so I guess he's happy. This guy says horrible purchase. Computer didn't work. Okay, well that's obviously RMA. That doesn't really matter. You just return it and get another one. The performance is excellent, but the hinge is already breaking after 2 weeks. Alright, so, you know, it depends on who's selling the laptop, right? Every laptop maker doesn't make their laptops very good quality. That's unfortunate. You know? That's not good. So, but he should RMA that. I mean, he should get another one. You know? Laptop works great for everything I need for school, handles gaming hobby very well. My only critique is that the battery life goes down pretty quick with optimal settings. Well, of course. It's a gaming laptop. They don't have good battery life. The laptop itself is okay. Visually, it performs well when gaming. Built-in speakers are very quiet. Oh yeah, that's hard to get good speakers on a laptop. You won't be able to hear the game audio over fan noise, so plan on using a headset. Well, who doesn't? I don't know anybody who uses a laptop without a headset, but anyway. But yeah, it's a bummer that it doesn't have good speakers. MSI did not charge for shipping, and it was easy to install. I guess get started. The shell is plastic, and I have concerns about the longevity of it. Yeah, of course. Most bargain gaming laptops are going to have plastic. You know what I'm saying? Very good computer for gaming, especially cost. So, I mean, yeah, if you're not looking for something that's, you know, super durable, like like an Asus Tough laptop, you know, you have to take the good with the bad. You know, if you like the insides and you don't want to throw your laptop around all over the place, you know, you have to buy a case, you know, and take care of it. You got to be gentle with it. These are really good insides, you know. But you do have the other options here, the RTX 3060, which comes with a 12700, which is good. That's also a good CPU. It is a 6 P cores, 8 E cores, a total of 20 cores, so six performance cores. So if you want to save a little money, you can go with the Dell, you can go with the MSI. I probably would go with the Dell, just because you buy a warranty with it, be good. But, you know, some people will argue against that, but, you know, I never had a problem. It comes with a 1 terabyte SSD, 16 gigs of DDR5, so all that right there is good. A 3066 gig, doesn't have the 8 gigs, but the reviews here are, what, nothing? Burned my pee-pee? I don't even know what that means. Well, get it off your... Stop gaming on your lap. Gaming laptop used to run a model railroad. More than I needed in a laptop, but the price was right. It worked well for what I intended to use it for. Excellent CAD machine. I love it. This machine is powerful. I didn't know what the hype was about gaming machines, but even for a non-gamer like myself, the dedicated sound and graphics cards are far superior than what I had in my business PCs. I'm never going back to integrated GPUs again. This machine handles multiple tasks simultaneously without lag or performance. Great price on a great laptop. Laptop was easy to set up, screen is sharp, and pleased with it. Forget that one. So, yeah, I mean, these guys are using it for business, it seems like, but, you know, for 800 bucks, you know, it doesn't have bad specs. 6 core, 3066 gig, 16 gigs of DDR5, and a 1 terabyte drive. So, I mean, the 1 terabyte drive is not bad, considering most give you 512, you know, or used to anyway. Like this 4060 one only has 512, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spend all day doing this. I mean, it's just, you can kind of look for yourself, right? I mean, they have another 4060 here for $999. It's got a 13700H. Now that one probably has, let's see here. That probably is going to be a 8 core, but let me see. No, wow, that's only got 6 performance cores too. Okay, interesting. But it's got a 5 gigahertz turbo boost. That's not bad for a laptop. Although I don't know if that's what this one has. Let's see. Where is it? What happened to it? For 1,000. Let's see what the max boost speed on this thing is. Yeah, 5 gigahertz. Not bad for a laptop. Yeah, so it's got 13700H, 4068 gigs, 16 gigs of DDR5, 1 terabyte, 17-inch screen, 165 hertz. That's pretty big. That's not bad, actually. And that has 1440p display. So that's actually pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's getting up there close to 1,000, but... And it is Acer. I'm not a big fan of Acer, but these are really good specs. Very good specs for a gaming laptop. Like this is a gaming laptop. Like you're not gonna have any problem playing any game in this laptop. So what do the reviews say here? Outstanding value. I've been using this for weeks and it's a solid PC. Very satisfied. I needed a laptop that would run Photoshop basically everyday use and gaming. I knew going into this purchase I wasn't getting the best. I downloaded a few games to test run, but the real test was Starfield. At highest settings, it runs at 35 to 40. I'm thrilled that it can handle this size of a game. Although I don't think that that's really a good benchmark. They should be talking about Cyberpunk or Alan Wake. But whatever, this is older. By far a better laptop than anything else I've ever had. Bought this during the Tech Day deals for $899. Wow. He got it for $100 cheaper. 17-inch 1440p screen. Pretty good. Yeah, so this is a great deal. You know, you can look elsewhere. I'm just looking at Micro Center. But yeah, that's really good specs. You know, I mean, you can use this as a PC, basically. You can set it up on your desktop, hook it up to your 1440p monitor, and it won't play at like 165 frames per second at 1440p. Don't think that. But at 1080p, it probably can do some high refresh gaming. You know what I mean? So you can still hook it up to your desktop monitor, go 1080p, and you could probably get 60 frames per second plus on high settings pretty easily. You know? Yeah, so anyway, I learned a lot just from doing this video. So anyway, I think I'm going to sign off there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and peace. Don't forget to like, sub, and share. All right. Take care, everybody. Happy holidays coming up.